Yes, we are all different people once we've spent time with Dan Tan, and that is because he is amazing, and he inspires. Welcome, mate.
You're making me blush, Doug.
So Dan Tan is in the house. Dan is from The Positive Difference, and today we're talking self-awareness and the whole person paradigm. Now, I saw this come up, and I'm like, the whole person paradigm. Tell me what this is, mate.
All right, so a little bit of context for the family who have just tuned in. We've been talking the past few weeks about emotional intelligence, and the foundation of emotional intelligence is self-awareness.
Yep.
And self-awareness, there's two major parts to it. Firstly, it's emotional articulation. Can I find a word that describes how I'm feeling? Can I kind of peg it down? Can I say, okay, I'm feeling this way? And because if you don't, it's very ethereal, it's very smoky, you can't quite grasp it. But once you have a word that you can grasp onto, you can start doing something about it. And the second aspect of self-awareness is what things contributes to how I'm feeling. So last time we were talking about the emotional roller coaster, but there's various aspects of our life or domains in our life that actually contributes to our emotional state as well. Yeah. Because when we start talking about the next domain of emotional intelligence, which is self-management, how do I actually do something about how I feel? If you're having a down day and I go, you know what, Doug, just don't be sad. Just stop being sad. That doesn't help you at all.
Spoon full of concrete, Doug. Hard enough.
Just toughen up, man. You know, suck it in. That's not helpful. Yeah. But there are actually other levers in our life, other aspects of our life that we can then pull upon, that we can boost up, that will influence how we feel. And that's where this idea of the whole person paradigm comes into play. So really briefly, and then we can talk about it more in the next segment. There are 4 dimensions to every person. Firstly, there's the body, your physical body. Secondly, there is your mind, the things that you think about. Thirdly, there is your heart, which is your emotions. And fourthly, there is your spirit, which is that eternal aspect, that aspect that's bigger than yourself. So really briefly again, your body is your physical body, your physical health. Are you rested? Are you hydrated? Have you had enough food? Okay. And how does that impact how you feel? Right? Secondly is your mind. What's your thought life like? What sort of things are you thinking? And how does that make you impact how you feel? We just talked about emotions and the heart aspect of it. And finally, there's the spiritual aspect of it, which I think we'll dive into maybe a little bit later on, because we can unpack that a little bit more, because that is something that is often overlooked. But I think more and more people are starting to realize that we are also spiritual beings. It's not just about ourselves. We are actually connected to something greater than us. And if we don't consider that, it actually impacts the rest of our lives as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we're for heart, body, emotions, and spirit.
Yeah. So body, mind.
So body, mind, heart,
and spirit.
And spirit.
That's
okay.
Right.
So most of us probably don't think about in the terms of heart being the emotions.
Yes.
I think we just go through what's my mind thinking and what's my body telling me?
Yes.
And I don't think most of us think about the eternal.
Yes.
I think everyone is spiritually aware of, to some degree.
Yeah.
But don't necessarily always apply it in the way that I might apply it or you might apply it from a Christian faith.
Yes.
How do we find a balance between all of those if we're talking about a whole person paradigm?
Sure. So one definition that I heard for the spiritual aspect, which I think is helpful, is that the spiritual aspect of a person's life is their connection to something greater than themselves. Yeah. So it might look like a religious faith, right? And for a Christian, that's a connection to God and His principles, right? So that spiritual aspect is living in line with your conscience, in line with values and life. I think values that are greater than yourself. Yeah. It's things like having a legacy, having a life purpose. So something that extends beyond your here and now, something that extends beyond your life.
Yep.
And so if you live just for yourself, just for the here and now, yes, it may be fun for now, but you're actually missing a core part of who you are as a human being. And that can actually then drag down the other aspects of your life, your emotional side, your mental side, your physical side. Conversely, and this is the same for all of those dimensions, if you prop up those various aspects, your physical, your mental, your emotional, or your spiritual, it actually then positively impacts the other dimensions of your life as well.
That's cool. One of the things that I suppose I think about when it comes to the mind is that self-talk.
Yes.
When I'm having my good days and my bad days, and when I'm having days where I might be a bit more negative on myself than I probably should be. How do those things play into emotional intelligence, self-awareness, all of that?
Your self-talk is a huge aspect to how you feel. Yeah. So for the family who aren't aware, we all kind of talk to ourselves. do it quietly, some do it aloud. I do it aloud sometimes.
I do too. Yeah.
You know what? In an empty room, sometimes you need to have a little bit of conversation.
I do it in a crowded room.
So you don't have to be like us, our family, but all of us, what I often say is we play out a narrative in our own head about our situations. And the powerful thing is that you yourself have control of that narrative. So for instance, if you are, let's take an example, if you're running late to a meeting, what narrative are you playing in your head? Are you telling yourself, oh my goodness, I'm going to be late, it's going to be so bad, I'm going to walk in, they're all going to look at me and laugh at me and say, you couldn't even make it on time. And all of that, things that you are telling yourself, what is it doing to your emotional state? It's causing you anxiety. It's causing you stress. It's causing you worry and frustration. And it's kind of dragging that emotional state down. What's the outcome of that? You're gonna possibly try speeding a bit more on the freeway. You're gonna try to be a bit more aggressive on the road. When you show up, you'll probably be a lot more flustered. So that's the impact of your thought life on your emotions and your outcomes. But in that same circumstance, you can be telling yourself, hey, it's gonna be all right. You know, it's the meeting's not going to start without me. I'm going to take as long as I need to take to get there, and I'd rather get there safely and with a peaceful mind than all flustered and potentially get into an accident. And you can be telling yourself these things. That self-talk has an impact on how you feel. As opposed to the first instance where you're flustered and stressed and anxious, you can be a lot more calm, a lot more collected, a lot more. You can maybe even while you're driving, distract yourself by saying, what do I need to say in this meeting? You know, who do I need to engage with? And kind of play it out in your mind. By having a little bit of control on your thought life, that has a huge impact on how you feel. And so even identifying, hey, what am I saying to myself? Am I being more negative or am I being more positive? What voice am I speaking into my own life and what emotions is that driving? And then that steps into that self-management space. Well, how do I want to feel? And how should I be speaking to myself to make me feel in those ways?
Okay. So there's a couple of things here. So the way we talk to ourselves shapes how we feel.
Yes.
But how we feel shapes how we talk to ourselves.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes. So it's bi-directional.
Bi-directional. It goes both ways. So there's a biblical verse that talks about out of the overflow of the heart the mouth speaks.
Yes.
You talk about feelings and what comes out. But then there's also be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
That's right.
And to present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and perfect to God.
Yes.
So it's about how do we change the way we think, and then also how do we change what's happening internally with us.
That's right.
If they're bi-directional, what happens in that space if, I'm just feeling hangry?
Yes. All right. So let's go over to the body side of it. Okay. So hunger is a physical condition, and that then has an impact on your emotional states. For some of us more than others. I know for myself personally, I need to eat at certain times in the day or I will get grumpy. And that's part of self-awareness, right? Some people don't get that problem. I know of people who don't even realize they're hungry and suddenly start getting fainty and go, oh, that's right, I haven't had lunch today. For me, that's not a problem. I know when I'm hungry. So be aware that your body has an impact on your emotional state, and hangriness is an example of that. Some other aspects might be, well, what is your hydration like? Very often, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and when she's grouchy and upset and throwing a tantrum, the natural inclination is to say, well, that's the problem. But there might be something that is beneath that. So the first thing I do is, have you been drinking your water? Let me take a look at your water bottle. Wow, okay, you haven't been drinking very much at all. Let's hydrate you first, and maybe that will help. So something similar like that. It could be physical fitness. Have you had enough exercise? Have you been out in the sun? Get some fresh air. So all of these physical things can impact your emotional state. And if you want to boost on your emotions, consider what on the physical level you can do to pop it up.
That's great advice. We're talking about self-awareness and the whole person paradigm. And we've kind of been talking about, in that whole person paradigm, we've been talking about mind, we've been talking about body, we've been talking about heart, and we've been talking about spirit. I suppose you and I were just talking off air a little bit, and this is probably something for us to unpack as we come back into 2024. But just briefly, if what's happening in our emotions and our heart are back and forth, and then we're feeling hungry or something in our body feeds into the way we feel and those things. How does positive self-talk or that affirmations fit into that? Because I know from a biblical perspective, there are a whole lot of I am statements. I am a child of God. I am, the kings. Anyway,
Yeah.
can't think of off the top of my head as I'm going through this. My brain's
I'm
going
loved, I'm valued,
but I'm loved, I'm valued, I'm cherished. Yeah. I'm called, I'm chosen.
Yes.
I'm all those things.
Yes.
And they're all biblical statements which fit with it. But then I also know there's a school of thought that talks about positive affirmations being, I'm a confident speaker, I'm great at maths, I'm always at work on time, I never get into arguments, I always see the positive in people. So there's all these things. Where does all of that play into this, mind, body, emotions, spirit?
Yes, definitely. So as we were talking about before, the things that you tell yourself impacts how you feel. And the more you tell yourself something, over time and with repetition, you start believing it for yourself. And once you start living it up, once you start believing it, you start living it. So if you tell yourself every day, I'm a joyful person, I'm a joyful person, I'm a joyful person, after a while, and you will start believing it for yourself, I'm a joyful person. And then you'll start living that out. Well, if I'm a joyful person, then I should be smiling more. If I'm a joyful person, I should be encouraging others. If I'm a joyful person, whatever circumstance comes my way, I'm going to be, rejoice in the Lord always. Now, some people hear this and they go, oh, that's a little bit of, a bit of voodoo, you're trying to psyche yourself up. But the truth is that we all do this. And very often we do this in the negative. And so family, I want you to think how often you tell yourself, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have done that. I stuffed up again. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And we keep reinforcing that time and time again. When we keep reinforcing it, we start believing it. We believe that we are an untidy person. We believe that we are a person that can't achieve certain things. We believe that we are less than we can be. And so what you want to do is you want to be thinking, all right, what sort of narrative am I telling myself about myself? Is that true? Can I be shifting that narrative? Can I be saying things that are true about me, but are positive? And the Bible is a great place to go to. What does God himself, my creator, say about me? And can I be affirming those things in my life?
That's cool. That's cool. If we're changing the way we speak and we're putting these statements into place and that around our life, and it's changing the way we see the world, does it change the way we see things around us? So I'll give you an example. So earlier this year, I think it was this year, we got my wife got a car. I think it might have been last year. Anyway, we got another car that was given to us through friends.
Lovely.
It was an absolutely amazing gift that we got blessed with. But it was a Holden Cruise, the hatchback. But anyway, so now I see them on the road all the time. Before that, I never saw them on the road. And I now see the type of car my wife has on the road because it's something that is in my world that is there. Is that the same with the affirmations or the things we say to ourselves? If we're starting to say, hey, I'm a joyful person, I'm an encourager, then we're always looking for opportunities to do that, as opposed to, I'm now seeing Holden Cruises on the road all the time because that's now part of my world.
I love your analogy. So you definitely start observing certain aspects of the world that you didn't observe before. Your eyes, in a sense, get open because now you're tuning your mind to be more aware of those things. Right? So if you tell yourself, well, there's always something to be joyful about, which is the truth, you'll start observing things to be joyful about. Now, there'll always be things that will tear you down. But the question is, are you focusing on those things or are you focusing on the things that bring you joy?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And I'm not saying that we make things up or it's some mindless positivity. No, there are things in this world, things that you're going through, even in the toughest times in your life, there are things to rejoice for. And even in the most wonderful times in your life, there are always things that you could focus on to drag you down. And the question is, where are you putting your focus? Where are you putting your attention? And how is that impacting your emotional state, your mental state, and your life as a whole?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I reckon that's a great place to pause it and to leave it for next year, and we can come back and re-dive into all this again. Absolutely love chatting to you, mate. Hope you pray your family have a great Christmas. And family, as you're listening to this today, what are the things that you want to focus on as you move into 2026? And what changes do you want to make in your mind, your body, your spirit, and then in your emotions? And let's all be spiritually and emotionally more aware and positive as we move into 2026.
I encourage that 2026, make it more positive. Make it more positive.
Into that. Thank you, Dan.
All right, have a good one.
Dan is from The Positive Difference, and you're on Sonshine.